Warm greetings from Creative Hub Tallinn, Estonia. Welcome to the second seminar by Education Nation. This week's seminar focuses on Estonians' best practices of remote learning for students with special educational needs. During this seminar, we will try to find answers and share tips to how are Estonian schools and teachers supporting students with special educational needs. For more information, go to Facebook and find our page, Education Nation, and group named Remote Learning Education Nation. Among our 4 speakers today, we wait for your participants as well. For asking your questions, please head over to Education Nation YouTube channel or Facebook Live and post your question in the comments section there. We will answer the questions in the end of our session. Let's meet our speakers now. We have 4 experts joining us live today. Sirli Vainsaar, headmaster at Tallinn Tondi School. Tallinn Tondi School is a special education needs school. Meelike Terasmaa, Foundation Innove, chief specialist in the field of special education. Laura-Liis Lepp, special education teacher at Tartu Forselius School, which is a mainstream school with inclusive education classrooms. And Anna Golubeva, a mother and chief specialist in language immersion and multilingual education at Foundation Innove. Each speaker will have about 10 minutes for speaking, after which we will also have a Q&A session. Let's move to our topics today. First of all, Meelike Terasmaa, Foundation Innove, as a chief specialist in the field of special education. Hello, Meelike.
Hi.
Tell us, as an education nation perspective in Estonia, we'd like to hear about an overview of how our system supports the children with special educational needs.
Yes, thank you. Well, the organization of studies for students with special educational needs is based on the principle of inclusive education, which means that such students attend as a rule in mainstream schools, but depending on the specific needs of the learner requiring special education, they may also study at special schools. So maybe I can now have my slides. Yes, thank you. The organization of studies, well, now, if it appears that a student is not coping as expected, he or she is supported during the studies in the classroom, given additional support after classes, adjustments, for example, in the learning environment are made. Well, there are a lot of possibilities how school can support the student. And you will hear some of it later from the representatives of the schools. But here on this chart, you can also see some numbers. Out of all students, around 19% need some support during the studies. 13% of them need general support, which is the support is decided by the schools itself. And the ones who need enhanced or special support, which is a bit less than 6%, are, according to Basic Schools and Upper Secondary Schools Act, pointed out as students with special educational needs. And these supportive measures are recommended by External Advisory Committee. But of course, not only teachers are the ones supporting the student. So in addition to teachers, counseling and instruction from a special education teacher, speech therapist, psychologist, and social pedagogue must be available for learners. Either school or local authority has to ensure the service of those 4 support specialists for the student if there is a need for that. And those services are mainly provided at schools. So if so far the student has needed some help from support specialists, they need this help also during the period of remote learning and most likely even more because of this difficult situation. So now during the remote learning period, a lot more than before, we are using e-solutions. There are a lot of different materials, photos, videos on the web, but as a teacher, you sometimes still struggle in finding the one you would like to recommend to your students. So I guess this is a familiar feeling for you all. So our speech therapists in Foundation Innove have created short videos for mastering articulation and pronunciation skills. And for the Estonian speaking audience, these are definitely more valuable, but many of these videos you can still use despite the language you are speaking. Well, this video here is about the exercise called horse trotting and the explaining step by step how to do it. So we are not actually going to watch the video, but I'll have a link here in the presentation and you can watch it later on. So this exercise is just about how to practice so the horse trotting, which is just good for your articulation skills. So here also you can find some useful web pages and some links. These all are in Estonian, unfortunately, so we're not going to check those out together. But if you are interested in translating some of it, you can have a look later on by yourself. So let's go back to the educators. So if a student needs enhanced or special support and his or her learning at home is extremely difficult, or if he or she needs constantly being supervised, the school assigns one educator to be a personal supervisor for the student. Well, it can be either be support specialist or teacher or assistant teacher. As you also from the figure, our specialists are mainly using digital ways to support the student. And of course, we first have to make sure that everyone stays safe. But if the digital help, for example, is not sufficient enough, we're also allowed to organize some contact meetings in the minimum necessary amount. And well, if the measures offered by schools do not give the expected outcomes, then there are possibilities for educators and parents to seek for additional help from the regional guidance centers located in 16 different cities in Estonia. They're called Rajaleidja centers, and if you translate Rajaleidja into English, it's a pathfinder. So Rajaleidja is a nationwide network which offers educational counseling services for parents, teachers, and other educators of young people, and counseling is free of charge. Rajaleidja centers also employ the 4 different counselors in the field of special education, speech therapy, psychology, and social pedagogy. And I will just give you an insight of the 2 main online services we have at the moment. First is the chat.
I think we need to reestablish the connection with Meelike. But meanwhile, Meelike, are you back with us?
Yes.
Okay, so show us the screen.
Yeah. Yes, so here you can see my screen. And well, the service is not new, or it's not especially created for remote learning. But we have now extended the length of the chat counseling time, which is now 8 hours a day. And So anyway, let's give it a try. I'm the parent who is having troubles. And I'm going to, on the other side, there is a psychologist counselor. So let's see. Well, first here is the automatic message. Hi, how can I help you? Hi, my child is learning at home. It is really good to motivate her to study. Oh. And well, when I have sent the my question or my problem, then I can just wait until the psychologist is
Let's see what the psychologist is answering there. This is actually
now
very...
You can see...
Yes, go ahead, please.
Now you can see the answer. So as I understand, you're having difficulties in motivating your child to study. Could you describe the situation more precisely? So I can just continue on describing the situation or asking extra questions. And in the end of the chat, I'm hopefully getting my questions answered. But at this point, I'm going to leave the chat and jumping right back after the webinar here. So the second and the main channel used for counseling in Rajaleidja at the moment is video. And the preparations for that also started some time ago. The initial aim was to offer video counseling in the regions where we are lacking support specialists the most, and also for Estonians living abroad. But well, today, of course, the need is much, much bigger than that. So the pilot study was held in the last year, and the platform and service is available for all Rajaleidja counselors from the beginning of 2020. And here on this photo, you can see the screenshot of video counseling with a test client. All the options are easily accessible and understandable. Well, and the criteria for choosing this platform was that the client doesn't have to download a program and can just join with a link. That there is a possibility to share a screen if you want to show something, the possibility to upload and download files, and also record the conversation so they can just check it out also later. So the aim was that it would be as easy as possible for the client. So far, so good, but we're constantly improving our platforms and ways. And to end my presentation, I'll have a lovely quote here. I truly believe in it's nothing more important than those difficult times than a meaningful contact. And at least I remind myself every day that we're humans first, professionals second.
Thank you, Meelike, so much for sharing this. I must say that also our family, my child, we got help from Rajaleidja. So this is really great work that you are doing. How many of children for such a care and need do we have in Estonia in general? Is that a peak amount of our students?
Yeah, well, as I stated in the beginning of the presentation, then a bit less than 20% of all students need some kind of help.
Very good. Thank you, Meelike. For all of those who are watching us, if you want to ask questions or you need more information, go to Facebook and find the page Education Nation and group named Remote Learning Education Nation, or send us a letter hello@educationnation.ee. You also see those on the screen. Our next speaker is Sirli Vainsaar, headmaster at Tallinn Tondi School. Tallinn Tondi School is a special education needs school. Sirli, tell us, how are you supporting students now that they are learning and studying at home?
I think that with my presentation, I'll try to give you the variety of suggestions that we have that have worked in our case, and I believe that the following support distant learning in all the schools, but is essential in schools for children with special needs. So if I can have my slides, please. I already. So in order to make learning effective, we actually need to accomplish some preconditions. Besides a suitable physical environment, there should be mental readiness as well. So low anxiety level, positive mood, learning routine, etc. Communication, of course. This involves channels, frequency of communication, aim of the communication, and the importance of school-home relation has never been as crucial as it now. And the third one, and equally important, of course, is the common sense. Because, you know, the tasks we give to the students are essential things, and they should be related to our everyday activities. So, how to reduce the anxiety? There is a boy who actually refused to do anything learning related at home during the first week of distant learning. He was confused and it started to affect his behavior quite a lot. So what the teacher did.
Sirli, do you hear us?
Hello, are you with me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so with this short social story, they explained, you know, what is coronavirus, what we can do, what or what we can't do, and why our school is closed and we have to learn at home. And when the virus is finally retreated, we can go back to school. And this explanation was enough for the boy. And from then onwards, the boy is ready to do the tasks given by the teacher at home as well. So here you see sort of a video on the background. It's our coping curricula students. They have used to start their Fridays with jointly singing a certain song. Now they can't do that. Their routine is sort of affected. So the teacher has created the same situation, sent the video through the parents, and the students can now hear, watch, and go along with this. So keeping routine helps to reduce anxiety, but at the same time it serves the purpose of creating motivation as well. So as mentioned earlier, the importance of school-home relation has never been as crucial as it now. Our classes compared to mainstream school are very small, hence the teacher can actually agree with every family on communication channels. And they need to keep in mind the parents' needs. I come back to this a bit later as well. So, but as communication is not only for transferring the information, but it plays a very important role of motivating as well. For example, we have children who need every morning on screen their teacher's greeting, because, you know, this helps them to be on a learning line. And, you know, the children miss their classmates a lot. And because, you know, the classmates are their circle of friends. And therefore, there should be some kind of an organized chit-chat possibility too. Here on a live photo, you can see the teacher having the gathering in Zoom. program. Majority of the class has joined, and they were very happy to see each other after a long time, and so they are doing it on weekly basis. And during the last week's class, they celebrated, for instance, the birthday of one of their mates. So the social point is very important here. But as communication sharing involves a lot of visual material, we need to be cautious on data protection here too. So having just essential things is better than too much of superfluous things. So these two coming slides show some very simple tasks that actually serve many purposes. So improving fine motor skills with a task there on the first worksheet. Then calculating is included here, writing, planning the day on the second photo. So and actually this helps also to the set routine. Nutrition questions, reading and writing here on that slide, besides fine motor skill improving as well. So if to give some practical tips, so I thought to share with you, the ones what we have used and found sort of more to be most effective. There are of course other things teachers are using too, but this is sort of the main issues. So we are 100% sure that ICT is an additional tool for us. And of course, there are still textbooks and workbooks and paper and pens and pencils, and of course, outdoor activities. So we can't forget about these. Our main tools for sharing information and feedback as well are eSchool, email, Google, Zoom and Skype. And more and more is actually getting popular Seesaw as well. So and why eSchool and Google were chosen? So this is as some of our students have a previous experience with this. And secondly, it's widely used in our normal everyday situation as well. So throughout this period, it's like a practical learning and improving the IT skills necessary for their future lives. Interactive games and tasks, etc., bring a lot of change in the everyday learning, but better not to change them very frequently, because this has come out also from parents' feedback that teachers want to offer very much and very different games and tasks and programs, so it's very difficult to follow. And we need to keep in mind that parents are our closest friends now, because learning depends very much on them as well. So keeping routine makes learning, of course, more effective, and it's related to many factors like room and people and time. And parents, they know at home the best, when their kids are most effective. Is it the morning time, lunchtime, evening time? So keep that routine. So learning tasks should correspond to the set goals. So and always keep in mind that less is more. So we do not have we do not have to have lots of things to do, but do a couple of them, but do it good. So weekly planning, but daily given tasks allow the families flexibility for planning their day as well. So, and again, I'm coming back to the cooperation with the parents. So we depend, or their children depend in learning a lot on the parents. So the communication means should be convenient for the parents, because in this case, teachers should adjust themselves to the parents' needs. Because if the information doesn't reach the child, So there is no learning as well. Although integration between the subject has been a part of learning in our everyday school life, it's now crucial because, smartly used, this will reduce the learning load at home a lot as well. And as practical work and everyday skills are essential, learning should be mainly through everyday activities. It should be very much related to what we do at home, and try to find the goal in that. So visual contact enthuses and feedback motivates. So it's easier for the students then to learn at home as well. So it also serves the communication purpose for the children. So what we have to do, we just have to show our face. We have done as well some feedback asking from the parents, and it has come out that the majority preferred actually once a week feedback, and channel-wise either email to the parents' email address, or e-school. But to emphasize again, so the communication should be tailor-made. So couple of feedback examples as well. So list of activities the teacher has planned for the week. You see on the left column. And by Friday, the feedback comes from home and shows what the child has done and when he or she has done that. And another option, it's a written description by the parent, what they have done during the week, together with some photo material. So the next one, this is the feedback for 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks. And the rows are for students and the columns are for subject or tasks. And it's a simple Google Drive document, what is filled up actually by the students. Yellow here means the task is completed, and light yellow and red are with the teacher's remarks, and it's meant for further action. And as you can see, it's very motivating for the child as well, to mark down here what is done. And during the second week, they are much more active here. So here, this is a video. It's a nice video, and another way of giving the feedback of the task process. And I especially like the ending of it. The guy is very proud of the work what he has done, shows it to the teacher, and voila! So he is happy, and the teacher is happy. And actually the similar feedback, like from a younger student, showing the process and completion. So if to summarize now, the 5 most important issues to keep in mind are set environment, communication and trust, integration between the subjects, extend the boundaries in tiny steps, and everyone should actually survive and even enjoy. So this is a quote from one of our teachers, and it's very lovely, I think. You may not succeed with the first trial, the same at the second, but at the third one might bring along much of joy for everyone, our children, their parents, and the teachers as well. So do and you can.
Thank you very much, Tilly, for this presentation. For those who have questions, go head over to Education Nation YouTube channel or Facebook Live and post your question in the comments section. Now we move forward to Laura-Liis Lepp. She's a special education teacher at Tartu Forselius School, which is a mainstream school with inclusive education classrooms. Can you, Laura, share some light into the subject from your school perspective? How can we support students with learning difficulties during distance learning?
Yes, so of course some adjustments have to be made. There are three main things we have done in our school. The first one is if using regular textbooks and workbooks, the material has to be critically analyzed just to choose suitable content. Also, some additional material found on the internet or done by the teachers might be included as well. Teachers create illustrations and some graphic material to simplify the content. The second option is to use some materials which have already been published by specialists. These are great because they are already adjusted. In Estonia, we fortunately have these in online versions as well, and in fact, Meelike shared some of the websites. The third option we have used is to create a new worksheet with a theoretical and practical section. Doing so, it is important to keep in mind that the theory must be as short and simple as possible. Use short sentences and divide the precise instructions into smaller parts. Use a minimum of 1.5 line spacing and font 14 or even bigger, depending on the age and features of the child. You can also use a moderate amount of illustrations and graphic material just to simplify the content. Different colors and underlining is great as well. Please keep the tasks short and focus on one skill at a time. You can also add some guiding questions and markers. So now I will show you an example I've done. The big is the topic. Step 1. Open your notebook and write down the title. Second, please write down this definition. Third, do the same table as I have. Use a ruler and a pen you can erase. So here the decimal points are in red and the zeros are underlined because they have a significant part in this topic. They are easily noticeable that way. And last, a small exercise just to practice the skill. So what has worked best for us? I highly recommend doing video lessons. If you use an app where you can share your screen and use a whiteboard function, it is really easy to explain the topic or the task needed to be done. You can also do a traditional video call. It's still great because it's direct communication. For the students, it helps to see a familiar face, even if they might be afraid to show themselves at the beginning. You can do these lessons in small groups or individually. I have students whose motivation and willingness to work together have risen tremendously due to doing these kinds of lessons. I also recommend doing short teaching videos in which you explain the topic or the task. These are great because they save you time and students can watch these over and over again. So if you are planning distance learning with students with special educational needs, please keep in mind to reduce and simplify the content. Analyze what is most important to achieve by the end of the school year and focus on these skills. Also, please review the topics learned before the crisis and only add new material in small doses. The materials and tasks should be given to the students one by one. Add precise instructions and always encourage them to ask for help. Also, if the student has many tasks left undone, please overview them and see what can be combined to reduce the amount. Contact is a keyword in distance learning. Please keep in contact with the parents as well. Call them just to ask how they're doing and keeping up. Reassure them that they are doing a great job. Also let them know that if the child is unable to do a task due to stress and anxiety, tiredness, and so on, it is okay to leave it undone or do it some other time. Just inform the teacher as well. I recommend keeping in touch with the students every day, especially when they are alone during the day. This might mean giving a good morning call or the text video call via social media during the day. The student should know that whatever happens, you are there to help. Also, if possible, please try to use standard familiar types of tasks and web pages which they already know how to use or are easy to learn. The student's digital literacy might be poor, so be ready to guide them via phone or video call. Also, instructional videos is great as well. Try to focus on the process and the amount of effort student puts in every task. They are alone, they study individually, so try to give positive feedback about every task the student does. Of course, let them know what and how they can do to improve their results. You are their confidant as a teacher, so they need your positive feedback to feel secure and ready to proceed. Also, please communicate actively within the school personnel as well. The teachers and specialists should actively communicate to share information. Also, you as a teacher, please ask for help. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Divide the work needed to do in order to see a positive outcome. So, in conclusion, what to keep in mind. Please reduce and simplify the content. Students with learning difficulties must certainly not do as much as their classmates. Give new material and tasks in small doses and always have precise instructions. Please use short sentences. Also, communicate actively with everybody involved and focus on the progress the child does and the effort they put in every task. So please give positive feedback as much as you can. It's truly essential. And for you, teachers, specialists, please keep a positive mind and we can do this.
Thank you, Laura-Liis. Our last speaker today is Anna Golubeva, actually as a mother. In addition to that, she is Chief Specialist in Language Immersion and Multilingual Education and Foundation Innove. But Anna, you are here today actually as a parent. What are the key things to keep in mind as a parent while supporting children with special educational needs?
Good evening, and actually I would like to start by saying a big thank you to all the teachers, all the members of administration of the schools, and all the specialists in Rajaleidja centers and all the support specialists who actually provide support to parents like myself who are supporting us dealing with education of remote learning of our children with special educational needs at home. And I will just present my ideas and my inside view of the situation. And of course, for our children, this remote learning is a challenge because school is an important part of everyday routine, of everyday worldview and everyday structure in the life of our children. And when this very important piece of the puzzle is missing, our children start feeling insecure and our children start feeling emotional and unstable. And I think this is a very important factor to keep in mind. So it's not only about learning, and school has not always been about learning for our children, but that has also been about giving the feeling of security and providing this vital communication and being about the community of friends as well. So my first piece of advice would be about paying a lot of attention to how your child feels. And this is actually the time when the parent needs to be very aware of the child's needs. Nobody knows your child as well as you do. So in the organization of learning, in the organization of all the educational activities, trust your child. Trust what you know about your child. For example, for my child, he's most productive during the morning hours. So we try to keep his routines around, say, like the first part of the day. So we try also during the school, his learning was in the first part of the day. So we try to keep this routine. He has breakfast, we might have a little walk in the morning, and then he logs into his e-school. He likes this part, he likes being very independent, he likes checking the task, and then we start looking at what he has planned for the day and what and how we will be doing the task. At the same time, I'm sure that there are children whose routine has actually changed, with not having to go to school by say 8:30 or 9 o'clock. They might sleep longer. There might be some shift. So every parent knows his or her child best. So it is the time to trust your child to see how it's working. Maybe because it's now been 3 weeks of remote learning, and the patterns that actually worked during the first week, they're not working any longer. So please just try to adjust by looking at how your child is feeling and how the routines are changing. So if I go back to my slides, so the second point that I have is be in contact with the school during all the time. So in fact, nothing is a small thing now. So, for example, we had a task in computer science that was to draw a picture in paint. And we were actually being late with the task because we looked around, and at home, our computers were not supporting Windows and we didn't have Paint. So what to do with it? We were making a fuss about it. Why did we have the task? Then I just wrote to the teacher and she answered immediately. And I said, we don't have a computer who's supporting Windows. I'll probably bring my work laptop. And her answer was, shall I maybe look for other programs that can be supported by Mac? So then I replied that I will organize and I will bring my work laptop. And then the child actually was very proud of himself. He spent an hour drawing a picture in Paint. But the thing is, it was a very little thing. And the teacher was so supportive. And sometimes the parents, we are stressed, and these little things we feel as if we are the ones having to deal with them, and we make it a problem. But actually, if you are in contact with the school, the teachers are there and they're so eager to support us. They're so eager to try to find solutions that work for us. So there is nothing little at the moment. There is everything matters. And I think also another thing why to be in contact with the school is that communication with the teachers is extremely important for our children, because for them the teacher is a key person in this whole of the learning process. Our teacher said that the children can call her whenever they feel that they would like to communicate with her. Our computer science teacher made an educational video explaining how to use the program. And my child was so excited to watch the video. He said, now you can hear her. Have you heard her speaking? So this is absolutely essential to be in contact with the school, both for the parents, because we are not alone and we don't have to feel as if we are alone in the situation, and for our children too. Secondly, what I would like to go on with is do not expect to have everything done. As Sirli already mentioned, and my child studies in Tallinn on the school, we do have the weekly view of all the tasks that we need to do. Yes, for example, in my family, we do try to follow the daily routine and to have the tasks done day by day. But sometimes we don't get all the tasks done exactly on the day when they have to be presented. But teachers are flexible, and they do not require everything to be done exactly or by a particular time of the day. Some of them just write that you have some days to do that. Unless you have the problem, they might contact us saying like, is everything okay? Are you doing all right? In, for example, arts and design, we have a very exciting topic of cooking at the moment, which is doing everyone very, very well. And for example, we shifted to the weekend and we cook together. So especially with our children, and that's also my next point, we have to be prepared that there are good days and there are bad days, unfortunately, because our children are very sensitive, because they do not feel secure sometimes, because they are in this situation, they don't understand what is coronavirus, why are they staying at home, why they cannot see their friends, when this is all going to end. And when they feel particularly insecure, these are the days when they need additional TLC, when they are not in the mood and not motivated to do the tasks. So these are the days we also have to be prepared for. And these are the days when we also need to understand that we're not going to have any tasks done today, probably. We might do some extra tasks tomorrow, or we may not. I think here again, it's important just to let the teachers know that we have not been feeling well, probably recently, or then again the teacher might also tell us what there is to do, or what is the support that we can actually take into consideration asking for. What I think all parents need to bear in mind is that we need to ask for help. This is not the situation where we should be shy asking for help. And in the presentations, in the speakers that have just talked before me, we actually saw that there are absolutely different possibilities. You can contact the teachers directly. You can just go online and actually just from your home you can have an online consultation, even there is a possibility for a video consultation. So parents, especially all parents, are not taking it easy being in the role of a teacher. For parents of children with special education needs, it's even harder. It's a bigger challenge. Our children are special and they require special attention. So sometimes parents also feel under stressed. They sometimes feel that they do not cope. That again, but this is not the reason to be shy about asking for help. We shouldn't be. I think what is more important is that our children can do it, and in fact, I think we should be proud of the fact that our children have been doing it for 3 weeks already. And I think this is a very good example of the fact that even an ordinary thing, because we're now talking that remote learning has become our new reality in Estonia. So I think this new reality is that achievement that our special children need to be proud of. And I'm proud of all the children in my child's school and of my child as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, so much. We have a few questions here from our viewers. Sirli or Laura-Liis, perhaps. Do you evaluate students during distance learning? Meaning that, do you put out grades? And if so, then how do you manage it? Sirli, your microphone is not on. If you put your microphone on, then you... Yes, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. In our school, we have actually decided that we are not evaluating. So the feedback is more like, oh, this has been done very well, or try to change it a bit. So not like we're not giving the grades.
But your school, Sirli, as a special educational school, how well prepared it was? When listening to your presentation, it actually gave a look that you were very well prepared for distance learning. Could you say that you were even perhaps better prepared than other schools?
Oh, I don't think so. Although I must say that our IT teacher, as Anna also mentioned, she really has done a great job. And we in our school we are teaching according 3 different curriculums. So our simplified curricula students, they have IT lessons as well, and at coping children as well, they have IT lessons. So some kind of a contact they have had already, but as everyone in Estonia, I think that within these 3 weeks we have our digi-tiger has really woke up again and jumped a very long leap. So within these 3 weeks, I think our teachers, our children have improved their skills on that field tremendously.
For those of you who are watching us from outside of Estonia, digi-tiger was a project that was started by President Lennart Meri for many years ago, and it's actually really now we're seeing many of the fruits. But Laura-Liis, about your school, do you do grades now in distance learning?
So and so. We give only positive grades and try to do it as minimal as possible. We give feedback as much as we can about every task the child does.
But you, Laura-Liis, how do you feel your school being prepared for this kind of a distance learning, and how are you doing for it now? Of course, it was a surprise for everyone, but would you like to comment it how that worked out and how well were you prepared for distance learning?
Yes, I think we had a good base already, and we had meetings prior to the announcement of the crisis. I think some of the students were feeling anxiety at the beginning, and maybe some teachers too, but now we are doing great and everything is running smooth.
Meelike, you heard about these cases and examples and also how our Estonian schools are doing. Are these examples suitable for schools in Europe and across the world? What is your opinion, Meelike?
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of it can be used also in different countries in Europe and worldwide, because well, of course, we have a lot of materials and a lot of solutions. We have our language based, but still, the solutions itself can be unique. Also, we can just use it, take it as an example, and put it into our context in some other country, and it can work out well.
Anna, we've been in home schooling now with distance learning for about more than, well, three weeks at least for now. Has a certain routine catched you and your family? Can you say that, yes, this is now working out well? Of course, we have challenges at all the time, but has the time so far allowed your family to set to a certain routine so that besides the homeschooling, also parents are able to do their work?
Yes, because I'm also working from home, and as a parent who is working from home, I would say that we have established a particular routine. Then the morning is dedicated to my learning with my children, and then I'm doing my work assignments. But of course, then I would say that my children are excited when I'm saying that I'm having a Skype meeting, because that means that this is the time when my children get TV at their disposal. That means that this is the cartoon time.
What is the most challenging routine for you personally?
I think this might be, I don't know, for me, maybe sometimes some of the, I don't know, because I have children that are different age. One teenager, well, actually, I have two teenagers. My child, one of my children, is year 9 at school, so she needs a lot of time to concentrate on her studies. Then I have my special needs boy, who is 12, and my third one is 5-year-old. So I think they just need different kinds of attention. And then in between all of these different kinds of attention, I need to find time for myself. So I think that might be a challenge, but I think we're coping well.
Thank you for all of you sharing your experience and your wisdom, Meelike, Sirli, Laura-Liis, and Anna. Thank you very much. This was a very interesting webinar indeed, and a lot of good things to put behind. And of course, the good thing about webinar is that we can watch it all over and over again if we want to make more notes and take more consideration on some of the topics. Our next webinar is taking place on next Thursday, April 16th at the same time. For more information on future webinars, follow us on social media at Education Nation and join our open Facebook group, Remote Learning Education Nation, where you can also suggest on topic on future webinars. Thank you so much for being with us with this webinar. Stay home, stay safe, and take care. Goodbye.